Welcome to another daily live webcast called Jenn Cast, the live show that happens Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern here on yfalive.com. Today is another Try It Out Tuesday, and we're going to try out Jelly. So Jelly is a new application that was created by one of Twitter's guys, Biz Stone. He's a co-founder and CEO, and we're going to be talking about what exactly it is. They have a pretty vague and very broad description of what people should be doing with it. We've got Vicki Lashenko, the small business gal, on to give us the 411 and everything Jelly and how we as small business owners should be using it. So I'm your host for today, Jennifer Donogh. You can tweet me using @JenniferDonogh and the hashtag Jenn Cast. Like I said, my guest is Vicki Lashenko, so let's go ahead and bring Vicki on right now. Vicki, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Jen. I'm so excited.
So I wanted to bring you on. I want to give some background to this. I wanted to bring you on about Jelly. I feel really silly just talking about Jelly, but I wanted to bring you on about this because in Bootstrap Book Club, one of the questions that was posted was about Gary Vaynerchuk saying, you know, his idea of when to get on a new social network and how to use it properly. And you brought up the fact that you just jumped on Jelly. Now, I've been hearing about Jelly over the last month, but I saw you talk about it and I was like, all right, fine, I'll try it out. So what is Jelly?
So Jelly is a phone app, iPhone or Android, and it's a interesting platform where people can ask questions using photos, and it goes out to your network's network. So to your network and to your extended network, which is really great. So you practically crowdsource questions. When you go shopping, for example, and you want to buy a hat and you don't know which one, you take a picture of the hat and you post which one should I buy. From that up to questions like, just the other day I saw a car drive, I saw a guy post a car that he saw on the road and he said, what kind of car is this? And things like that, things that people either really curious about to know that they can't just Google, or things that they want to draw attention to. For example, they take a picture of themselves, or they talk about an event coming up and they say, hey, have you heard about this? Which is kind of sneaky marketing.
All right, so you're the small business gal. Why did you jump on it?
I jumped on it because I want to be everywhere. Like Pat Flynn says, be everywhere. And that concept has worked very well for me. It's not necessarily about that my target market is on there. My target market is not on there, by the way. It's about to really getting yourself out there, build relationships with people, not necessarily a target market, but people, maybe your peers, people who are interested in what you're interested in, which is obviously that's why they're on Jelly, and just to build those relationships.
So why should I, as a small business owner, care then? That's my thing, is like, why should I spend the time? It's already time consuming to be on Instagram. And I should mention that Jelly's mission is really simple. Biz Stone has written about this in a few of his blog posts and talked about it in the press and let me make sure that I'm quoting this exactly how it is. Our mission is singular. Jelly helps people. So as a small business owner, why should I get on Jelly and start answering these questions? Because I think you even mentioned in Facebook, it can become a bit of a time suck.
Yes. Yes, it definitely can. The first few days that I learned about it, I was on it all day, like here and there, and it's definitely time consuming. You really have to know what you are trying to get out of it. So for example, I work with a lot of local businesses, not necessarily to Portland, but local to their own communities. And I wouldn't suggest them using Jelly because there's no point for them to use, because Jelly is so worldwide, right? Unless they have like an e-commerce site where they can build that relationships and draw attention to them, to their business, through the relationships, through answering questions, through asking questions. For us small business owners, it's really a decision that you have to make for yourself. I can't tell you, yeah, you totally have to be on there, because the thing is, you have to decide whether it's worth it for you or not. I spend quite a bit of time on there. A little less now than when it started, because you just kind of get used to it, and it's more of a, oh, well, what should I do now? I checked all my social networks, and now I'm going to check Jelly.
That's exactly why I started. I opened it up. I was like, okay, I went through Instagram, I went through Twitter and Facebook, and I guess I'll just try out Jelly now.
Isn't that horrible though? Like, it's so much, there's so many things, but I would pick Jelly over Pinterest anytime because I feel like Jelly is more personable, where Pinterest is like you just kind of post things and there's not much interaction on there. So that is why I picked Jelly. And another thing is that I mentioned this in the Bootstrap book club, that I kept kicking myself for not joining Twitter right away, for not joining Instagram right away, or Vine. I mean, look at Vine stars, like they're just huge right now. And I'm like, man, why didn't I do that? Why didn't I? And so it's like the next social network that's going to come out, I'm going to jump on it. And what do you know? Like Jelly came out. I'm not sure how if I will be the one who's like really jumping on it and really using it hardcore, but I'm definitely using it and seeing how it works.
Well, some of the things that I thought were interesting about it is that it's not necessarily a social network type of a thing where you have to join Jelly. So on a lot of our Try It Tuesdays, if you've watched them in the past, I complain a lot about the idea of joining an app and having to create a separate profile. Irritates me to no end. I'm like, okay, can't you just pull all my information from Twitter and Facebook? I know it's possible. Just do it. It's easy for me to join, right? Exactly. Otherwise, it takes me 10 minutes to fill out the thing on my little iPhone screen. Yeah. So obviously, these guys have been to the rodeo before. They know how to do this.
Absolutely.
So it's pulling information, yes, as far as your profile goes from Twitter and Facebook, and I'm sure they've mentioned that this algorithm, I read in an article, it's nicknamed Finkel something after the co-founder, and they're keeping it secret for right now, and I'm sure they're pulling data in from like what my likes are on Facebook and that type of a thing. But apart from that, they're also pulling in, and on YFE Chat a couple years ago, we had on Nick Soman, who is the founder of Likebright, and he talked about this capability where you can bring in your outside network. So if I'm friends with you, Vicky, I ask a question, and they're going to possibly pull in friends of yours into mine.
Exactly.
So that's interesting, and that the idea is they say that with Jelly, it's the little antennas go around, and it all provides, a food for the brain type of a thing, and so it's the same thing. We're using collective brain power here.
Yes.
What I was confused on is, so again, this is a brand new application. I put out a question about Tivana. I had a legit question. I've Googled it to no end, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is perfect for Jelly. And let me show it to you guys. And Vicky, I want to talk to you about your questions too, because I've actually gotten a few of them come through on my Jelly. So I asked this question about how do I, and if you know this, by the way, you should chat it in. How do I remove the metal grate at the bottom of my Tivana Perfect tea maker? Because I want to clean it, and it drives me crazy. And on the box, it says you can remove it, but I can't figure it out. I haven't been able to find it on Google or YouTube. I put it out there. And so they're asking all of my friends on Twitter and Facebook that are also on Jelly, and their friends too that are on Jelly. And I got one answer, which I thought was really nice of this guy to reach out and answer me. And I've seen him answer your questions too. He said to run hot water through it, which I was like, well, duh. But anyway, you can click on him and it'll pull up his Facebook profile too, so I can find out more about him. And it turns out he is a part of a venture capital firm. So it's pretty fun to just discover new people in that sense too, over a commonality. So Vicky, tell us about some of the ways that you've used it.
Well, lately, my very first question was, what do you think of Gary's book? And I put a picture up of Gary's book, and I got, you know how it connects you with the Twitter face, with the person who is linking your networks?
Yeah.
So for example, like the person that we're both connected to is, if we're not connected, it'll show you who we're connected through. So Gary follows me. So every time I post something, it shows up that I'm connected with practically almost everyone who's on Jelly through Gary. So it's so funny. Hilarious. A lot of people answered me, and instead of saying like answering my question, they said, "Hey Gary, loved your book." And then like literally people are like, "Yeah, this book was great. Lots of action. Thanks so much, man." And I'm just like, what? Like, so I think they got confused and thought it was Gary asking the question, not me.
Interesting.
So yeah, and another thing, I've been crowdsourcing information about Jelly. Since Jelly doesn't give us the information, I thought I would try to get it. And so last week I asked a question: what is your day? What is your age range? and I posted like a photo of like under 21, B 21 through 24, and just to get a feel of like who's on Jelly. And I got 38 responses, 36 legit ones, and 11% are under 21, like the people who answered me. 14% of people are 21 through 24, and 47% are 25 through 34. Isn't that crazy?
That's interesting. And you asked another question, male or female.
Yes, I did. I wasn't able to get all the data from it yet because people are still answering, and I want to get as much answers as I can. But it's very interesting. There's definitely a lot more males. A lot more males on Jelly for sure. And it's I also asked what's your occupation, and there's architect, professional wine drinker, okay, digital concept design manager, digital marketer, photographer, author, speaker, product manager, engineer. I mean, work in IT, really, really high-end professionals who are mostly in tech development, digital strategist, CEO, project manager, really, really great people to network with.
Well, and it's interesting, too, when you asked people what they were doing, I was looking through it, and these are definitely early adopters, people like yourself that just jumped on to try it out. And I think it was at Miss Renata that was on the chat that was saying, I need to get all of my social networks under control before I jump onto Jelly. And I wanted to point out, bring it back again, that this is not necessarily another network you have to figure out. What I feel like this is, they said in this intro video that's on here, you guys, I'll make sure that I add the link to it, and it's just on, if you go to jelly.co, it's on like their blog or something like this. The whole concept behind Jelly came from them being out on this little walkabout, and they were on a walk, much like the Steve Jobs, if you read his bio. I think if you're a smart guy and you own a successful company, that's like what you're supposed to do. And him and his co-founder said, if we were going to create a search engine today, what would it look like? So it's not necessarily saying that this is a new network of sorts, and Vicky, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but this is a new way to communicate with others, to get answers, and to help. So Absolutely. It's not something you have to feel like, I feel like, is a chore and you have to search actively for things. Because of the algorithm, it presents you with questions that you'll most likely be able to answer. Now, I haven't necessarily found that to be totally true just yet, but I feel like it's so early that it's going to be hard to actually crowdsource appropriate answers. And in the future, hopefully it'll be able to provide me with questions that I can like seriously get out there and provide really good help for. But right now it's asking me what's the best takeouts in San Francisco and things like that. I'm like, I don't live in San Francisco, but
there's a lot of those questions in San Francisco.
And so I think that if anything, it's a great tool for small business owners or business owners in general to get on there and ask a question. And Vicky, you were just talking about the kind of people that are on here, right? So if you have any question about an app, about creating a website, about a design challenge you're having in your home, ask it on Jelly, and it might get answered by someone that you'd have to pay, hundreds of dollars for.
Exactly, which is amazing. And people are really generous. And the thing is, we are wired to help. Like, we get this really amazing sense of gratification of this amazing feeling when we help someone. And so when we go on Jelly, it's really addicting to actually answer questions. Just the other day, I was like, the car was posted and I had no idea what the car looked like. The emblem was like really interesting. And so I literally called my husband. I'm like, honey, come here. He's like, what? I'm like, come here, please help me. Like, what is this car? And like, I went out of my way. Like, we were sitting, he was on his iPad and I was on my phone and we were trying to look it up. And we found the car. I go back to Jelly to post the answer and someone already posted it 2 minutes before. I was like, man, babe, come on, we're 2 minutes late. So you really want to help, and it's definitely not a chore.
It's true. And going back to jab, 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 right hook to finish all of this up, Gary Vaynerchuk says, one of his points on how to get out there and make yourself notice is to go on Twitter, do the advanced Twitter search, look for people that are asking questions around your occupation. And you know what? It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of effort and know-how to find the right type of search string for that type of a thing. And what Jelly is doing is basically giving it to you in your pocket, saying, here, go and help people and get your name out there.
Exactly.
So I'm really grateful, Vicki, to have you on today to talk about the small business aspect of it. And like you said, we're wired to help, and it shouldn't feel like a chore to help people. And I feel like the way that we're doing it right now through social networks is a little bit of a chore. And if anything, it'll make this easier for people.
Absolutely.
So Vicki, where can people find out more about you? Because I'm sure you're going to have some more information for us about all the things you're learning about Jelly in the future.
Oh, thank you. You can find me at smallbusinessgal.com or at Vicky Lashenko on Twitter, on Instagram, and wherever else. Just search my name.
All right, Vicki. Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much. It's so much fun to always be here.
Yay! All right, and this is Vicki's second time for being on the show, by the way, and she's love how high energy she is, and so definitely check out her videos. She just did a video with Chelsea from Horse Feathers, and so we all love Chelsea. You have to check it out. All right, everyone, so you've been watching the daily live show that happens Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern here on YFElive.com. This has been Jennifer Donogh. Make sure that you sign up for YFE.me/mailed it to find out everything that's happening at Young Female Entrepreneurs. Thanks, everyone, and make sure that you try out a new recipe tonight. That's our daily action over at dailyactioncalendar.com. Thanks.